All right, here we go. Let's jump into pitch deck number 2 that we're going to go over. And again, the goal is always 10 minutes or less. Let's blast through it. Let's see what it looks like. So here's a timer. We're going to start this right now. Here we go. Okay, so AlfProtocol. Again, I've never seen any of these before. Let's dive right in. AlfProtocol is, it says, a DeFi market characteristics and growth. DeFi will continue to outperform. Okay, they're just going over the highlights of why decentralized finance is a good thing. So we talked about 6 T's, right? I said basically a trigger. So that's what I'm gonna look for as I go through this. Is there an emotional response to the deck itself? There's a team, there's the technology, there's the traction, there's the tokenomics, and then there's the terms, right? So going through, look, I'm not the biggest fan. The vibe that I'm getting from the deck itself. So my trigger, it's not really. Hasn't been triggered. So that's one of the things. I understand decentralized finance is a big deal, will be a big deal going forward. They're talking about leveraging liquidity. So look, right off the bat, I am not the biggest fan of using leverage or talking about investing in certain things that are requiring to use leverage. So right off the bat, maybe not something that I'm really too keen on. Although that this is very important in decentralized finance. But let's go through it. So this is a Solana native. Solana, it's got a community to it. I can't say I'm too keen on investing in a protocol or on investing in a project on that protocol. So again, something that kind of hits off in the wrong way for me. But let's see what it goes. So Solana is a native automated maker, decentralized lending. Okay, so this is like a decentralized lending protocol that's going to play heavily into decentralized finance space. Great. Okay, so what are the problems and the solutions? Here's one thing I do like is when problems and solutions are outlined right from the beginning, right? What I would say with this one right off the bat is when I see this first slide, there's no catchphrase there. There's nothing for me to really align myself to or have in the back of my mind as I look through all the slides. So that's something that I would say to do for these founders here. Okay, goes through this. So what are their problems right now? So they're saying their competition as a whole, right? The fees are high. The blockchain is usually on Ethereum. The transaction speeds are low. Growth is low. Going through a bunch of other things, right? Performance is single layer, and there's a high power requirement. They're saying AlfProtocol being on Solana, the fees are low, the transaction speed are high, the growth capacity is high, and everything else is the same except for power requirement, which is low. Okay, so again, it's going to go through some of its competitors and it's going to say what it does best. Okay, so it's on Solana. You can leverage up to 200x. Now they're using that as an advantage or a highlight, whereas the other competitors here are only leveraging up to 3x. To me, that might actually hurt them for me personally, because I don't want things to be able to be leveraged that much, right? The risk is very high at that point. So I can't say personally I'm a fan of that. Okay, so it goes on. It's saying good. There's farming and protocol owned, whereas the rest are usually just farming, meaning you're just looking for yield and doing plays specifically for yield alone. Okay, all right, lending, yes. Okay, there's a good liquidation threshold and fees and associated with that as well. So low fees here. Borrowing fee is the lowest amongst all the rest. Performance fees are lowest amongst the rest. So they're saying low fees, and they're saying their liquidation threshold is up to 90%. Okay. Okay. Again, if lending and leveraging and that is your area of expertise or interest, this may be something that speaks to you. Again, I'm not liking the deck. The colors aren't speaking to me, so that triggers right off the bat. So Alf, here's a token. So we haven't gotten the team yet. We know the technology is basically Solana, which is fine. It's not a bad protocol at all. It is heavily, in a way, centralized in terms of the ownership and the way the protocol runs, but by and large, the protocol itself is fine. Okay, so they're talking about staking, where there's a decentralized autonomous organization, a DAO, which will take care of everything basically. So no human interaction there, it just kind of does it on its own. There is some voting, I'm sure that's going to take place here, but by and large, there's no single person that's doing stuff for you. Okay, like I said, farming, yield farming here, you're looking for the best rewards from the yields. So these guys will do that. Okay, we have some loyalty tiers. Okay, so here's kind of what, again, I'm not the biggest fan of, is when you have to use the tokens that are from that platform, the native tokens, and then you have to basically lock them up to get other benefits. And that's really a way that a lot of platforms do, to make sure that there's incentives to actually, one, purchase their tokens, but two, to actually lock them up. And so you're taking liquidity of that pool, like basically you're taking the supply out of that the token base, and which makes it more scarce, which then makes it more valuable. The issue then becomes is when the market is what it is, no one really cares about the tokens, right? And so then the price of the tokens go down. What are you really getting out of this besides just using it for leverage and in the platform in terms of bonuses and fees? I'm not the biggest fan of that. Okay, so they've got a tokenomics here that's not out of the ordinary, obviously. Buybacks and burn and all that kind of stuff. Okay, key achievements to date. Look, okay, here's one thing. Something that does not resonate with me: cartoons on a deck, right? We're talking about, being professional. We're talking about serious industry or sector, as in decentralized finance. I don't think of finance as cartoonish. That's just me, right? I would love to see a gentleman dressed like this for sure, or something, business casual. But to be a cartoon right off, it doesn't jive with me and what they're trying to do, which is talking about money. Okay, so that's one of my triggers right here. So what did they do? They finished the project research and discovery, already started to develop the protocol, MVP to release late Q1 of 2022. Okay, again, remember, this is an old deck that was just posted on LinkedIn, so I'm sure they did well since then. But if I was in and around that time, this is what my mindset is going through, looking through this deck. Zen Capital, Dust Ventures, and Dib Ventures. I don't necessarily know who those are, but if I did some research on them, I'm sure they'd be more than reputable with a portfolio of companies in the space. Otherwise, they wouldn't highlight them. Okay, they've been featured in multimedia channels, including Solana News. One thing about PR is that a lot of people can get PR agencies, and they just pay them, and then those agencies get them into these publications. So it doesn't really mean much unless it's happening organically. Mentioned by one of the biggest Russian crypto influencers. That doesn't mean anything to me. Put together a strong crypto geeks team for future research and development. Okay, so they do R&D. Great. Okay, so prototype design and protocol. They've got a dashboard. Okay, they're just going through what it looks like. Again, I can't get through the deck. Just the colors are messing with me. The cartoon character, it's just things are off for me. Okay, tokens are allocated and will be vested as followers. So if you don't know what vesting schedule is, it just basically means that you'll get a certain amount of tokens allocated to you, but you're not going to get all of them at once, right? So sometimes they even have what's called a cliff. Cliff just means that you don't get anything, even though it's kind of accruing in the background. So if I tell you that, hey, look, whatever you, in terms of money, you give me some money, I'm going to give you 10 tokens. And the first 3 months, you don't see anything, but every month you're accumulating those tokens, or you have your 10 tokens sitting there. You're just never going to get them in your wallet. Okay. And then after those 3 months, then we're going to have a schedule, a vesting schedule, where let's say, every month you're going to get 1 token. So then over the course, and so the first 3 months while they're a cliff, you're still getting that allocation. You're just not going to get in your wallet. So let's say there's a 3-month cliff, and every month is 1 token release. So you've accrued three tokens, which you'll get at the end of 3 months. You just don't get them during that cliff period. And then after that, you get 1 token a month until you have your 10 tokens and you're good. They do this just to make sure that investors aren't dumping on the market and crashing the price of the tokens. Okay, so let's go through here. So Angel, this is their round right here. These are the rounds. So they want Angel, Seed, Private, Pre-IDO. It would be interesting to see where this was raised for them in terms of what round. Probably wasn't the Angel round. It's probably in the Seed or the Private round. You can see the token supply. You can see what the price is for the token at that time and how much they're raising. So 1.75 million. Private is 2.8 million. So that's always key right there. And what you always want to do is you want to see what the fully diluted value is, whatever round you're in. So if it's a seed round, it says the price is 0.0035, is that you're going to times that 0.0035 by the total supply here, of which they have 10 billion. Okay, so what are they? 35 million is their fully diluted value, somewhere in and around that area. Okay, so AlfProtocol here, the team, I'd have to look at who they are. Pixelplex, okay, Byzantine Solutions, I don't know who they are. But look, they're doxed, meaning their face is there, and everyone on their team is doxed, which is good. No cartoon characters, no NFTs as their face. I would like to see who they are. They've got a good roadmap in there, and it would be interesting to see where they're raising and where they are in the roadmap. All right, so but more focus would be done on the team, more research would be done on the team. So we're sitting here. Let me see if I can get this for you guys. And I'm gonna stop this right here at 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, now a lot of that 10 minutes and 30 seconds was actually because I'm trying to explain some of the things as I look at here. All right, so if we just do a brief summary of everything again. The trigger, yeah, nothing positive or I don't want to say positive because it wasn't negative. It's just there's just this feeling of something is off. The deck does not speak to me that, oh man, I need to do another follow up with these guys. It just didn't work for me. All right, so that was my trigger. It wasn't a positive trigger. You look at the team again. They're showing their faces, always a plus. And they're providing LinkedIn and some other Telegram and Discord links, which would be good to kind of investigate and see who they are and what they've done and does it match up with what they're doing now. So that's there. Technology is Solana, so nothing wrong with the actual tech on Solana, so that's a good thing. In terms of the tokenomics, we've got it right here. We dive more into it and see where they're raising seed or private, what the valuation is. And then kind of see if that matches up with the competitors in the space and what the valuation is there. Also looking at the vesting schedule and whatnot. And then the terms and the conditions, that is, again, the vesting schedule, any cliffs involved. So when they say things are listing, 5% at listing, cliff at 2 months, there's all these other things that you look at to kind of see if this makes sense, right? But off the top, it's not something I would be too keen on pursuing. Again, very heavy leverage platform, necessary in the space in terms of decentralized finance. But again, the deck is throwing me off. I'm not too keen on the high leverage platform, and nothing really speaks to me about Solana being the end all be all in terms of tech. It's not a bad thing. It's just not a great thing for me. And everything else, the cartoon characters on the deck, again, throwing me off. So it's interesting, right? Because you'd be surprised at the littlest things that can throw somebody off, especially when an investor's been looking day in and day out at decks, and then they see just one thing. They're just looking for a reason to say no. So if you are a founder and you're watching this, just really pay attention to the deck and how you're designing it and how it's kind of flowing. Personally, I wouldn't even mind seeing the team, earlier. Definitely, if there's highlights there, putting some kind of catch line here so I can know right away what this is about and something that can kind of speak to me. That would be great. And look, overall, it's not a bad deck. It's just not a deck that would make me want to pursue it very much. I would probably still jump on a call with them just to see where it's at. But if I had to make a call right now based on the deck, it would be a no for me. If you didn't check out the first pitch deck that I reviewed, take a look right here and you'll see how I go through that deck.